Hi, my name is Lisa Point. I'm here to talk to you about vaccinations. Up until about a century ago, the infant mortality rate was 20% related to vaccine-preventable diseases. Vaccines are given for multiple diseases: polio, smallpox, diphtheria, rubella, to name a few, and we'll talk about most of these in the course of this instructional video. The first vaccine was invented in 1796 by Edward Jenner, and what he did, he was a small country farmer, and he took the pus out of a lesion in a cowpox on one of the milk maidens and injected it into a child who had smallpox, and this prevented any further smallpox lesions from occurring on this child. The first disease we'll talk about is diphtheria. 15,000 deaths per year in the 1920s. Within that rate has dropped to about 5 people per year getting the illness. According to the CDC, diphtheria has changed the way that its plan of attack. Since children are immunized, it goes after adults who have not been immunized for a very long time. The next disease is rubella, with benign illness in children, rash, fever, that kind of thing. If a pregnant woman is exposed to this, however, she runs the risk of miscarrying her child or the baby being born with congenital birth defects. The rubella vaccine was invented in 1969, and in 2004, this disease was declared as eliminated in the United States. Since 2012, all rubella cases had evidence that they had been infected outside of the United States. Thousands of years ago, there was the variola virus, commonly known as smallpox. It occurs in outbreaks, and the last natural outbreak of smallpox was in 1949 in the United States. Most people with smallpox recover, but 3 out of 10 will die, and those who survive it are left with scars all over their body, mainly their face, and could be left blind. The next disease is polio. Polio is a crippling and potentially fatal disease. It can cause a myriad of mobility issues, up to quadriplegia. Polio has no cure. It can only be prevented by a vaccination. Polio still circulates in 3 countries: Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. In 1988, the World Health Organization adopted a policy for the worldwide resolution of this disease. The next disease is measles. This is an acute viral infectious disease, and it was referenced as early as the 7th century and been quoted as being more feared than smallpox. Before the measles vaccination program in 1963, 3 to 4 million people annually were infected, and out of those, about 400 to 500 would die. Since the vaccinations, there's been a 99% reduction of this disease in the United States. However, it is still prevalent in other countries. The next vaccination we're going to talk about is for chickenpox. It's called the varicella vaccine, and it does prevent chickenpox, but more importantly, it prevents what's called herpes zoster later in life. So anytime your body is under stress, you get this immune response, and you can have herpes zoster, also known as shingles. And these are herpetic lesions that run along nerve tracts, and they're very painful and very long-lasting, and very contagious as well. The most important reason to get vaccinations for your children is for what's called herd immunity. Herd immunity is this concept that all of people are protected if most people are vaccinated against these diseases. And the children who cannot get vaccinations are ones who are immunocompromised with cancer or a variety of other immunocompromising illnesses. So if they were to get something like measles, it's automatically they're not going to survive it because they just do not have any kind of a defense to fight it. So that's a good reason for people to get their children vaccinated. There was an article in the Washington Post by Markel Salathe, and she's quoted as saying, in measles outbreak after measles outbreak, the vast majority of cases occurred in communities where there was a negative connotation surrounding vaccinations. In conclusion, there are many reasons to vaccinate children, including preventing disfiguring, debilitating, and potentially fatal diseases, to participate in herd immunity, to protect those who cannot protect themselves, and to once again eradicate diseases that have been eradicated in the past, such as measles. Thank you.